We often say that every soldier in Foxhole is just a cog in the war machine, that in the grand scheme of it all they don't matter, but I believe it's the exact opposite. From the infantry holding the line, to the builders, artillery crews, tankers, and many other specialties, every single role plays a part in keeping the front moving forward. Without each of them doing their job and supporting one another, the front would never progress. Today I'm going to explain why every frontline role matters, and why each one is essential to pushing the front forward. In my opinion, no single role is more important than the other, because none of them can succeed without the support of the others. Let's first get started with the role of infantry. Infantry players often see themselves as expendable, just cannon fodder in this massive war. It's easy for them to feel like they're not making an impact when they're dying constantly, or not racking up the kills. But the truth is, infantry play is one of the most important roles on the front line. They're the backbone of every push, protecting tanks as they advance, and defending builders and artillery crews from enemy partisans. When it's time to breach a big concrete base or storm a relic base or town hall, it's the infantry who go in first, taking ground that assault vehicles alone can't reach. Tanks often won't even move without infantry covering their sides, and a big massive base with defenses with no infantry falls fast. And artillery is useless if there's no one to move in after everything turns to rubble. Infantry may feel small in the grand scheme of the war, but they are part of the puzzle that keeps the front moving forward. Now let's talk about those that help move the front forward by bringing a bit of extra firepower. While infantry is essential for covering and supporting vehicles, they can't break through fortified defenses alone. That's where assault vehicles come in. Tanks, half-tracks, and other armored support are what give the infantry the firepower they need to actually breach enemy lines and push into heavily defended areas. In my experience, some tank crews tend to see themselves as the driving force of the front line, as if the war hinges solely on their presence. Not everyone thinks this way, of course, but it's a common vibe you pick up on the battlefield. The reality, though, is that no role works in isolation. Every role supports the others, and only when they're working together can the front truly move. When backed by infantry, assault vehicles create the openings by clearing defenses, suppressing enemy armor, and destroying forward bunkers or town halls. Without armor, infantry can get pinned down or stalled entirely. If you've ever been on a front with no armor, you know how quickly the momentum fades. You end up stuck defending rather than pushing. Assault vehicles might not be the ones to step inside and capture the town hall, but they're the ones that blow the doors open. Next, let's talk about another role that helps blow the door open for infantry and assault vehicles: the artillery crews. It might not feel impactful when you're just loading shells or firing the artillery gun, but artillery crews play a vital role in shaping the battlefield. Every shot you fire can weaken enemy defenses, making it easier for tanks and infantry to breach fortified positions and push into the enemy's territory. I've been on many fronts where we had plenty of infantry and armor, but without artillery support, we couldn't make any real progress. That doesn't mean artillery is the most important role, but it highlights how essential it is as part of the larger effort. Artillery can't operate effectively without infantry to protect it, or tanks to capitalize on the damage it causes. This role can also be very demanding and has a lot of moving pieces involved. It takes a well-coordinated artillery crew to make this work and help the front. But just like vehicle crews, artillery players can't take the town hall on their own. Even after leveling enemy defenses, they rely on the rest of the team to move in and finish the job. Their strength lies in setting the stage, softening the target so the front line can break through. Artillery crews would be fully exposed and extremely vulnerable if it weren't for our next role, the frontline engineers or builders. Infantry, tanks, and artillery all rely on one crucial group to keep the front line functioning. These players are the ones constructing forward bases for spawns, resupplying tanks with ammo and equipment, and setting up defenses to protect artillery crews as they fire. Building is one of the toughest roles to jump into, and even harder to truly master, especially since every player seems to have a different idea of what makes a perfect base. Beyond bunkers and defenses, builders can also fill in craters to smooth the path for vehicles and infantry, keeping the front line moving forward more efficiently. While it might sound like builders are the most important role, once again they're just one part of the equation. A base means nothing if it's empty. Builders need infantry to hold the line, repair structures under fire, and put out flames. They need tanks to keep the enemy armor at bay, and just like every other role, builders thrive when they're supported. The next role, which is similar to building, is intel coordinator. Intel coordinators play a critical, yet often overlooked role on the front line. These are the players who build watch watchtowers around bases and the front line, providing vital intel to the rest of the team. They're the ones creating map posts, warning others about incoming sticky grenade attacks, enemy partisans, or sudden enemy troop movements that happen on the map. But their work isn't just about gathering intel, it's also about denying it as well. Many intel players venture deep into enemy territory to destroy watchtowers, disrupting the enemy's lines of sight and giving friendly partisans a chance to slip through unnoticed. Intel coordinators can also go around and place listening kits near enemy watchtowers, in hard to find locations so that they can see everything that the enemy sees. Without intel coordinators, the front line would be fighting blind. We'd constantly be reacting too late, unsure where the next attack was coming from. These players may not be firing guns on the front, but their impact is felt in every decision made on the battlefield. Intel coordinators may try their best to cover an entire region with watchtowers, but there may be a few spots they miss, and that's where our next role of Partisan comes in. Partisans play a vital role on the front line by striking where the enemy least expects it, behind their lines. When partisans aren't busy directly sabotaging Logi supply lines, partisans can serve another crucial purpose: distraction. By causing chaos behind enemy lines, they force enemy players to divert resources and manpower away from the front line. In my opinion, partisans are always needed to keep the pressure on the enemy. They may work in the shadows, but their impact can absolutely shift the outcome of a battle. A strong partisan effort can be the difference between a stalled push and moving the front forward. Partisans are constantly on the hunt for the next important role on the front line: the frontline Logi players. Frontline logistics is what keeps the entire operation running. They ensure infantry have rifles and ammo, tanks have armor-piercing rounds, and artillery stays stocked with shells. Without them, even the most well-coordinated assault would grind to a halt as the supplies run dry. But sticking with the theme of this video, no single role is more important than the other. Logi players can deliver all the crates in the world, but without soldiers to use them, they don't mean much. That's why it's so important for frontline Logi players to stay connected with those on the front, by reading Logi lists and listening to what players actually need. Every role relies on the other to succeed. Frontline logistics is no different. You might be asking yourself by now, what about all the other Logi roles that help the front from the back line? I've actually already done a video on how important those Logi roles are in this video here. I'll make sure to leave a link to it at the end of this video. I got the idea for this frontline video because so many of you wanted me to talk about how important infantry and other roles on the front are, so thanks for the idea. Now let's talk about a few smaller but still essential roles that help bring the front together. Medics on the front play an important role at keeping players moving forward. Without medic players, after you die, you would need to spend 20 to 40 seconds to respawn, and then another 20 to 30 seconds getting your equipment, and then maybe another 10 to 20 seconds running to the front again. This can waste almost an entire minute of someone's time. Medics help eliminate that downtime completely by keeping soldiers up and healed. This keeps the flow of battle moving forward and helps maintain pressure on the enemy. And speaking of keeping things moving, another underrated but valuable role is transportation. Whether it's using a bus or a logistics truck to shuttle troops from a distant bunker base to the front, this small act can make a big difference. You typically only need one player doing this per front, and as long as they're not getting blown up along the way, it's a great way to support the team and keep the momentum going. The next role that plays a big part on the front is the demolition expert. These players will charge into enemy defenses with mammons, hydras, or satchels. These small, focused attacks can have a massive impact when executed properly. I believe more players should either coordinate or join these kind of operations when given the chance. Which brings me to the last important frontline role, the role of being a good leader. One of the most valuable things you can do in the front is bring positivity and high morale, even when things are looking rough. Be the player who rallies others, encourages flanks, or helps organize a push. If you've ever had the thought, I'm not a leader, I think Foxhole is actually a great place to start practicing. You can test your communication skills, learn what works best for you, and you might be surprised about how much of a difference you can make on the front lines. I recommend giving it a try sometime. As you can see, every single role on the front line matters. Whether you're holding the line as infantry, paving the way with a tank, softening defenses with artillery, building up fortifications, or keeping players alive as a medic, it all adds up. Foxhole is a game built on teamwork, and no single role can win the war alone. So whatever role you find yourself in, know that you're a part of something bigger. Keep supporting each other, and remember, every action you take helps shape the outcome of the war. What's your favorite role to play on the front line? Any other common frontline roles that I forgot to mention? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support. Make sure to subscribe for more Foxhole content. I'll see you out on the battlefield. Cheers.